Most soldiers live broke. Here is why I didn't. Have you ever watched the days on your contract run out, felt that weird mix of pride and panic, and wondered, what did all of these actually buy me? You give the best years of your body to the machine, knees, back, hearing, sleep, and the machine gives you 2 paydays a month and a story to tell. But when the uniform goes in the closet, stories don't pay rent, and pride does not keep the lights on. I refuse to let my service end with an empty bank account and a heavy heart. And not because I'm special or lucky, but because I decided early that I wouldn't let the system define my ending. I would learn the system, flip it, and work out with leverage. If you have ever looked at your bank account or your bank app after paying bills and felt your stomach drop, keep listening because that feeling was my life until I learned the rules nobody teaches. On this channel, I show you how 3 years can buy you a lifetime bag. Inside the military, there is a rhythm so loud it drowns out long-term thinking. PT before sunrise, formation, tasks that expand to fill whatever time you have. You blink and it is the first of the month. You blink again and it is the 15th of the month. Money slides in. The weekend shows up. Somebody suggests a little treat because you hear it. And then Monday, recognize your name like you never left. What gets lost in that noise is the simple truth that a job pays you for your time, but a system pays you for understanding. Most soldiers treat service like a job. A few treat it like a system. The difference shows up on the first of the month after ETS. Why do so many live broke? Start with the paycheck illusion. Base pay looks bigger when you have never seen a civilian paycheck with tax, healthcare, and rent all showing on it at the same time. Add BAH and BAS and it feels survivable. But survival is not wealth. The numbers you see is not the number you keep. And the expenses you ignore are still waiting in the parking lot. Walk around any base on Friday afternoon and you will find the real predators are not foreign enemies. They are car lots with flags, lender with friend energy, and apartments that will hand you a key today and an eviction notice tomorrow. You know the drill. Zero down, affordable weekly payments, a little signature here, and suddenly your future is making minimums for something that is worth half what you owe. Layer on the barracks habit of proving you belong by how loudly you celebrate on payday, and you are broke before your boots dry. Then there is pride, the quiet kind that say, I don't need help, the hard kind that say, I will tough it out, and the destructive kind that mistakes paperwork for weakness. You limp through a rock, tap your knee, skip sick call, and tell yourself it's fine. But the VA does not compensate pain you brag about surviving. It compensates pain you documented. The world rewards proof, not silence. You can be brave and broke, and you can be brave and documented. I choose documented. Here's where the story turns. I made a decision. My service was going to pay me every single month after I took the uniform off. That meant I had to treat my body like evidence. I kept records. I described symptoms even when I felt silly. I told the truth in detail because truth loves detail. I learned that the words you put in your file today become the deposit you see later. Have you ever thought about that? Every time you shrugged and said, I'm good, you may have turned down money that your future self needed. I stopped turning it down. When my contract ended, that stack of documentation turned into a number, a deposit that shows up like clockwork. Tax-free, not because I gained anything, but because I proved what the uniform cost me. It didn't make me lazy. It made me calm. Calm is underrated. Calm lets you think, plan, and say no to dumb invitations. Calm lets you ask a better question than when is payday. Question like, what do I want money to do for me besides chase bills? Ask yourself that right now. If your bills were covered, what will you ask your paycheck to do? That question is the border between surviving and building. But one stream is not a plan. It is a foundation. You still need walls and a roof. That is where most people miss the quiet giant, school money. Civilians borrow for school. Veterans get school paid for, and this is the part nobody emphasizes enough. Veterans get money every month just for being enrolled. I did not romanticize our college. I monetize it. I pick programs that fit my schedule, enroll full-time, and continued my IT job. While classmates argue over parking and professor, I was opening my banking app on the first of the month and seeing a deposit that was larger than my rent. Imagine living in a city where your housing allowance alone covers the roof over your head, the utilities that keep you warm, and the groceries that make your kitchen feel like safety. Imagine your job money landing on top of that. What does your mind do when it is not spending 4 hours a day worrying about money? Mine finally started thinking like a builder. 2 master's degree. Later, I owe nobody for tuition. The monthly housing money had floated my basic life cost, and my job salary became a tool instead of a life raft. That is the different posture. You walk into your job differently when the rent is already handled. You say no to nonsense. You take risks that grow you because you are not terrified of a rough week. You switch from asking, can I afford it, to, is this the best place for my money to live? The GI Bill is marketed like a scholarship. It behaves like a paycheck if you structure your life around it. Did you know you can choose programs and location strategically so the housing allowance is higher? Did you know online formats can still pay and that you can pace your terms to maintain full-time status? That is literacy. That is not luck. But I'm not a school person. Cool. Are you a breathing room person? Because that allowance does not test your love for textbooks. It rewards enrollment and completion. Find a program aligned with your career or interest that does not drain your soul. Set a calendar, treat deadlines like formation, and let the money do its part while you do yours. You can live with family for a season. Pocket the difference, pay down anything that is choking you, and start cash until the word emergency stop making your heart race. One of the smartest dude I know moved into his aunt's spare room for 12 months. Not glamorous, incredibly effective. He walked out with 5 figures in the bank and the kind of peace that make your voice softer. About housing, a lot of folks rush into the VA loan like it is a medal. It is a tool. Tools fix things when you know how to use them and break things when you don't. I don't personally use interest-bearing loans because of my faith. So I study the VA loan deeply and choose not to take it. But literacy matters even when you decline. No money down and no PMI can be a ladder if you buy within your budget and hold long enough. It can be a trap if you buy your ego house and then discover the utility company does not accept pride as payment. The loneliest sound in America is an oven heating up in a house someone cannot afford. Don't let your name be on that deed. If you do, use the loan. Consider small and smart, a modest single family with room to grow, or a duplex where a tenant legally pays half of your note while you live with humility and a plan. Let's take culture. The barracks train you to measure your worth by the volume of your weekend. Civilian social media trains you to measure your worth by the volume of your purchases. Both are lies that end in minimum payments. Ask yourself, who am I trying to impress? Or do those people pay my rent? If the answer is no, you are paying strangers to approve of you. You don't need a new car. You need new standards. You don't need bottle service. You need breathing room. Every dollar you spend on being seen is a dollar that will not be there when your tire blows or your mom calls needing help. I switched my whole metric. I stopped asking if something looked successful and started asking if it will make me free. Freedom is quieter than flesh. Freedom does not get likes. Freedom shows up on the first of the month like a friend who never forgets you. Documentation, filing, follow through. Let's get painfully practical. If it is not written, it did not happen. Go back through your medical records. Request copies. Create a folder with your name and the word evidence in it. When you notice pain, sleep issues, headaches, hearing changes, anxiety, write it down and tell a professional. Be specific. Use dates. Use words that a stranger can understand without knowing your unit slang. Keep a simple log. Today, this hurt. This task made it worse. This time, I woke up. This is how it affected my work. When a claim needs support, your memory will feel fuzzy. Your log will not. File your claim. If it is not perfect, file anyway and improve it. The people who end up with nothing often waited for perfect proof and walk away with perfect excuses instead. Build your exit like you would build a mission packet. What is your objective? foundation income that does not depend on a boss, housing money that covers survival while you upskill, a civilian salary that becomes saving and investment, not rent. What are your obstacles? Pride, procrastination, pressure from people who want you to fund the habit. What are your contingency? Roommate for 6 months, a cheaper zip code, a beat-up car that runs like a promise. Who is in your team? A veteran service officer who cares, a registrar who answers an email, a cousin with a spare room, a friend who tests. Did you submit that claim today? Put dates on this. Put alarm on your phone like it is PT. Discipline is easier when the calendar does the heavy lifting. The 3 piles that saved me were simple: foundation, builder, optional. Foundation money, the monthly compensation that appears whether I'm employed or not. Builder money, the school housing allowance that covers rent and groceries while I study online and kept my IT job. Optional money, my salary, which became fuel for bigger goals. Debt elimination, emergency cash, investment, gift that felt like an honor instead of harm. With those 3 piles, I could plan instead of plead. I automated transfer the day money hit. I didn't rely on willpower at midnight in a grocery aisle. I set a free money line. If my housing allowance was $2,500 and rent or bills were $2,100, I promised myself to live at or below that line so my job money remained optional. That one rule is worth 1,000 goals. Live under the free money line. Smile at your future. I also confronted the soft cost nobody prepares you for. The identity crash, the silence after constant noise, the way your phone stops ringing when you are not in the group chat, the ache of purpose shifting. Being broke magnifies those aches. Having a foundation softened them. With basic bills handled, I could meet the quiet head-on. I could sit in therapy without wondering if copays would bounce. I could say yes to a walk in the middle of a Tuesday afternoon and call it recovery instead of laziness. If your mind is loud at 2 a.m., money won't fix it, but stability will keep you from making panic decisions that your 2 p.m. self regrets. Let me show you a week from my life when the plane clicked. Monday, deposit lands. I open the app, allocate a rent, utilities, groceries. I schedule everything, then close the app. I don't stare at numbers all day. I do my work. Tuesday, I finish an online assignment after dinner, not because I love the class, but because I love the calm that class funds. Wednesday, I lift, stretch, take a long shower, write down how I slept and how my knees felt, and send one email to follow up on a claim note. Thursday, I meal prep, something simple because restaurants are where progress goes to die. Friday, friends test about plans. I pick one thing that does not erase 5 days of discipline. Saturday, I call family, send a small gift without hurting myself, and read something that makes my civilian skills sharper. Sunday, I plan next week deadline and set 2 reminders. None of that is glamorous. All of it is powerful. Most people lose at money because they treat it like a performance. Money prefers routines. Now, the hard part, people. Someone will roll their eyes when you pass on a little splurge. So someone will tell you you are taking it from the system when you file what you earn. Someone will call you lucky when your rent is covered by a deposit they could have had to. Love those people. Don't become them. You do not owe anyone poverty to prove your loyalty. Serve with them. Laugh with them, but don't spend like them. And when you help family, help with structure. Pay a bill directly. Buy a ticket, not a tab. Say, I can do this much and stick to it. Boundaries are how generosity survives. If you are already out and it is messy, you have not failed. You have arrived at the starting line the hard way. Start with one document. Request your medical records. Start with one appointment, a screening that puts word on what your body already knows. Start with one application, an enrollment form that takes 20 minutes and pays you for months. Start with one rule. No new high interest anything until your emergency fund is breathing. Start with one conversation. I'm building, not flexing. You don't need a perfect year. You need a stubborn week. Repeat it 50 times. Let me tell you about a soldier I call R. We served on the same base. R was the guy everyone liked. Funny, strong, the first to volunteer for the hard stuff, the last to talk about himself. When we separated, he went home with pride and silence. He did not fight. He did not enroll. He said, I will figure it out. The months got long. He took a job that paid less than his bills. He started swiping credit for groceries. He stopped answering tests, When I finally reached him, he said, I didn't want you to see me like this. Pride is expensive, my guys. We sat down and built the same plan I'm describing to you. It was not magic. It was phone calls and form and follow-ups. 12 months later, his deposit hit like clockwork. His school money covered an apartment he could breathe in, and his voice sounded like himself again. He did not become rich. He became steady. Sometimes steady is the miracle. Maybe you are thinking, all this sounds like a lot of admin work. You are not wrong. Freedom has paperwork. That is the price. We fill packs and march miles for less meaningful outcomes. You can fill forms and schedule appointments for the most meaningful outcome. A life where your worth is not measured by how close you are to the edge. Zoom in until the next step is insultingly small. Print the form, request the record, send the email, set the reminder, celebrate boring victories. The world throws confetti at chaos. You should throw confetti at compliance. Here is the test I use to check if I'm on track. If my phone died for 48 hours, would my money still move where it needs to go? If the answer is yes, my systems are good. If the answer is no, I'm relying on willpower, and willpower is a terrible employee. Automate the foundation. Make mistake on optional money, not survival money. Give your future self fewer decisions, not more. I want to talk to the version of you that sits on the edge of a bed staring at the wall because the numbers don't make sense. You are not lazy. You are not dumb. You are overloaded. The military trains you to execute under pressure. Civilian life rarely gives you a clear mission. So write your own. I will live broke is not your mission. I will live with leverage is. The steps are not mystical. Document, file, enroll, stack, decline debts that flatter you and accept routine that free you. If your friends won't come with you, work anyway. If your pride flares up, remind it that pride never paid a bill. If your past whispers you don't deserve help, tell it the truth. You already paid for it with birthdays you missed and pain you learned to ignore. Most soldiers live broke because they were trained to complete tasks, not to architect exit. You can learn architecture. You can design a simple structure that money flows through correctly on purpose every single month. You can move from I hope to I schedule, from I will try to I did, from someday to a date on a calendar with an alarm attached. You can become the boring, dangerous kind of person whose life works quietly. People won't upload your spreadsheet. They will notice your piece. If you have watched the video this far, you already have the stubbornness required. Don't waste it on arguing with yourself. Spend it on the next right step. 1 year from now, you can be the person someone calls when their own panic is loud. And you can say, I know how to get out of this. I have done it. There is no medal for that. There is a life. And at the end of the day, that is what you were fighting for in uniform anyway. Not an image, a life. One contract can be a sentence or a seed. I chose seed. It grew into monthly money that appears even when the world is noisy. Degrees that nobody repossesses. Months where rent and groceries were covered by quiet deposit while my salary built my future. And the mind steady enough to choose well. You can choose seed. You can choose literacy. You can choose to be the kind of veteran whose bank account and body both tell the truth about what service cost and what it gave back. And when somebody asks you how you did it, you won't have to brag. You will just tell them the most boring, beautiful sentence in the world. I learned the rules and then I followed them until my life changed. Drop a comment if you have any question and I will answer them. Thank you for watching till the end. Peace. I'm gone.